Working in Tech series. This has been an exciting journey. And today it gets even more exciting because I'm excited to be talking to the world famous Jessica Davis. Um, One of the reasons why this series is so important, in my opinion, and from what I've been getting from the viewers, is that there's usually a lot that's said about transition into tech, but not a lot about what that journey looks like for many people. And that's why I'm talking to people who've successfully done it to kind of like uncover the things that they've done in their journey that's given them the success that they have. And hopefully, there are going to be a lot of lessons in there that can help other people hoping to make that journey and that transition successfully breaking as well. And that's exactly what Jessica has done. So, Jessica used to be a middle school teacher, and she successfully transitioned during the pandemic to become a customer success manager after completing an MBA during the pandemic. That just sounds like a lot. And not only that, she's also now helped over 1,000 other people at different stages of their transition journey into roles like technical program management, DevOps, and cybersecurity. Because, to her, it's not just about being successful herself, but also helping other people succeed. And that's, one of the things that's very fascinating and inspiring to me about her journey. But I think enough said about me. Welcome, Jessica. Do you have a few words to say?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Thank you again for having me, Jay. And I'm excited to be here. We were just chatting on the back end a little bit, but yeah, I'm excited to talk a little bit about my journey into customer success and how you guys can pivot as well as some value that I have found in this career. And I know a lot of times when we talk about careers, we often talk about the more technical side, like software engineering or systems, network engineers, data analysts and things like that. But there's like a whole other world to explore when it comes to like the non-technical side of tech. So, I've been a little bit on each side, each part of the non-technical side, even though I technically have a technical degree. Um, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But definitely want to dive customer success. Like I said, dabbled a little bit non-technical side. I've been a program manager. I have been a recruiter. I've also done account. I was on the sales side and was a sales executive for a little while. And this by far has been the most rewarding career that I have had, and I am obsessed with it. So I'm excited to talk to you about that today.
That is so exciting. So I think we're gonna jump right into it. What inspired you to, go into tech, and how did you start?
Yeah, so what inspired me to go into tech was because, like you alluded to earlier, I was a teacher for a good 6 years. I was a teacher for years. I started in education right after college. I studied legal studies in undergrad, and then I was teaching right after I graduated. I did a program called Teach for America. America, they put you in like schools in the hood, and you are supposed to be working some miracles. And I did that for a couple years. I worked in Atlanta. I worked in College Park, if anyone's familiar with that area. That's where like Two Chains is from. So it's a little rough around the edges, it's a good experience. But what I realized was one of my favorite aspects of that career. Even though I really didn't like the bureaucracy, I loved working with my students and like helping them to make significant progress. I was a great teacher, got some awards, but I started getting bored a little bit because I felt like there was a lot more that I can do, but there was so much bureaucracy. You had to like jump through hoops to get things done. But I always enjoyed like the data analysis aspect of it. And when I really kind of got burnt out with education a little bit, I wanted to see what else there was I can do. So I actually had a grad recruiter from my MBA program who had reached out to me right around the time I was like very much over education. I was like at my 6th year at my 3rd school, and I was ready for something new, even though I loved teaching. And I was also had pivoted, started doing some recruitment stuff over there as well. But like I said, my favorite part was the data collection piece and being able to make decisions for my students that was research based, but also supported by data that I was able to collect on their performance. So once that recruiter reached out to me, she told me that they had like a data program and they offered me some really good money. Okay. I got some scholarships from my school, and then they also offered me this great scholarship for women called the Forte Foundation. So shout out to Forte. And also anybody that has ever considered going back to school, getting a master's degree, an MBA, whatever, there's a lot of money out there. So definitely don't let that be a deterrent. So I went back to school in 20, and I started my program there, and I focused on my specialization was information technology, systems management. So I also got a concentration in marketing and data analytics. And although I hated, because I've never been like a math girl, I've never been a numbers girl. I used to like run from that all my life. But I knew if I wanted to take my career to another level, I had to like really hone in on those skills, which is why I really wanted to challenge myself and focus on like harder like concentrations and majors, because I'm a talker. Like I will write you an essay that is like, I am Barack Obama with the pen. Okay. I will talk my way out of anything, tickets, like late assignments, like whatever. Okay. But when it came to like math and science, even though I was actually really good at science, I ran from that a lot because it was hard. It was hard. But, I was like, I need to push myself, especially I knew I wanted a family. I wanted to like make money so I can like support a child and stuff like that. So, really focused on things that I knew I wasn't good at. And so it really paid off because I was able to kind of get my foot into the tech side, working for a tech company straight out of like my experience working in education. My first role with a tech company, which shocked me because I was like, why would y'all give me this job? It was a senior program manager at Amazon, and I was like responsible for a global program. And a lot of that role was like data collection, building dashboards, making decisions for the program on the data. So that was kind of like how I got my feet wet. But like I said, I was more of a people person. Like I like to chat. I like to see what's going on with you. Like, how can I support you and add some value? I love pouring into people. So after that, also during grad school, I was very engaged with the community. I was very engaged with like other, like every program that they had as an offering, like I was doing it. I was doing case competitions where you can go to compete in different like business cases and driving decisions for like top tier communities and companies. So like I worked with a lot of great companies when I was in business school, and a lot of them actually ended up giving me like offers and opportunities, scholarships and things like that. But still wasn't sure what I wanted to do after I graduated. And then right when I was graduating, boom, it was a pandemic. And I was devastated because they canceled my graduation. And I was so angry. Because my family was supposed to all come down. And plus, my last year of grad school, a lot of people don't know this, my last year of my MBA, I was getting divorced. Okay. I was getting divorced and I was moving and I was trying to figure out like a job. It was just plus a pandemic. So I somehow ended up doing this program, ended up doing like customer success for a state organization, a state Department of Education. So that was like my first experience there. I really enjoyed it. And after that, still lost in the world, trying to figure out my life. And I still knew, even though I had technical skills, I did not want to be sitting at a computer, clickety clacking all day. I did not want to be coding. Like, I knew I would be miserable, you know, even though like my grad program, they made us learn like SQL or, you know, Python, like, but I knew I didn't want to like do that full time. I wanted to have the skills, but I knew I was just using it to like um, move forward in my career. Although I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I knew it was going to be like an extra, you know, razzle dazzle on my resume. It did end up coming in handy in the end because, you know, everybody wants people that have those skills so you can be able to troubleshoot, you know, you can be able to quickly punch in some information if they need it, even if you're not using it every day. Because I will tell you, I don't use, you know, Python in my day to day. I'm not using SQL. I'm talking to people all day. So that is my zoom roundabout journey. So after that, I during the pandemic, after that customer success role, my initial role, I was a customer success associate. I ended up in sales, so I was a sales executive. Didn't like that. Although sales is a lot of money, if you are in tech sales, if you're great at it, there's a lot of money in tech sales. But me, it wasn't for me. Although like I was doing what I needed to do, I felt like I was begging, and I don't like begging people. I don't like repeating myself more than once. So tech sales wasn't for me because I'm like, if they don't want it, they don't want it. But I know a lot of people are good at it. Like my cousin, she's a beast. She works in tech sales as well for a company, and she's great at it. But me, I don't like to feel like I'm begging somebody to do something. Like I'm gonna ask you one time and that's it. Okay. But I knew also there was another whole aspect of that. Like a lot of account executives, sales executives, they work directly with customer success managers. So I decided that even though like I really like to be client facing, I like to really help people troubleshoot, solve problems. I didn't want to feel like I was begging them all day, you know. So I decided to pivot over to customer success. I had a recruiter from my current company that reached out to me. If you're on my LinkedIn, you know where I work. So they reached out to me at a time where I was just like fed up. Okay. I was still living in Boston because I moved back during the pandemic because my parents are elderly and I just wanted to be closer to them. And after that, I had gotten into a car accident in
Wow.
Boston, and I was driving my son to school, and it was in the middle of a blizzard, and I was already angry because I'm like, why is school not closed? You know, like the weather was terrible, it was ice everywhere, and my son's school wasn't even far. It was like 10 minutes. So after that, I was very angry. I was like, I got to get out of here. This is the last year going through this. 5 minutes away from that school. I would have been on my way back home to get to my clickety clacking and working. So after that, I called my friend Tiara. Shout out to Tiara Swing Solutions. And I was like, girl, I am leaving. I am moving. And literally, it was like divine intervention. It was the grace of God because the next day I get on LinkedIn and a recruiter from my current company was like, hey girl, well, not hey girl, me up. It was like, we have this great customer opportunity in Dallas. And my friend Tiara had already just moved to Dallas. We were there for my birthday that same year. And my cousin had just moved to Texas as well. So it was calling my name. And she was like, we'll relocate you to Texas and this and that. And I'm like, I didn't say this to her, but deep down, I was like, girl, do you know I just got into a car accident? Get me out of here. So that's how I ended up here. Yeah, I am in customer success here in Texas for a data insights and analytics consulting firm. And I love it. Like, I'm obsessed with it. If you're somebody that's passionate about like talking to people, helping people to solve problems, but also have like some technical expertise, because one thing you will need is like a lot of like product knowledge depending on the organization you work for. But that is my overall journey. I know it was like zoop, 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 all over the place, but that's how I got here.
So one of the things that you touched on were the challenges along the way. So that's gonna be a nice segue into my next question.
Yeah.
Job application processes are very challenging, right? With a lot of uncertainty. How did you navigate that path to your first job in tech?
Yeah. So I think for me, a lot of it is just connections, one, and then also keeping your like digital presence together. So as far as like getting your LinkedIn together, if you have a portfolio, if you have some certificates that you've taken. So when I knew I wanted to pivot from like the sales side to more like customer, long-term customer relationship building, customer success, I took some courses on LinkedIn just to kind of refresh my memory on what that looks like, what are some best practices, but also just like I refreshed my LinkedIn, to reflect the role that I was looking for. So I really highlighted a lot of like my customer success skills, so like if you're one thing a lot of organizations right now are looking for as well, they're looking for a sales background. If you have like that experience in tech sales, and you kind of want to continue along that trajectory without like the pressure of having a quota, that is good to look at as well. So highlight your skills that are related, like customer relationship management. So like your CRM skills, if you've used any tools, if you have any like data analysis skills, if you are great with just like, picking up on different softwares and technologies, you want to highlight the tech stack that you have as well, because a lot of times like you are going to be kind of the educator for your customer, for your clients on a specific software or a specific tool or a specific industry. So you want to kind of like brush up on those skills and make sure that you're highlighting them. If you have a portfolio as well, you want to highlight that. But my main way of like finding opportunities at the time was LinkedIn. I would say right now it's a little different. Not a little different. I feel like there's like a little more that you do. But if as long as you have like your profile updated and reflecting that, and I remember back then I used to tell people that, and they used to be like, "Oh, nobody uses LinkedIn except old people." But actually, no, like everybody's on there, and their mama. There's like almost 68. They have almost 68 million companies on there now, and they just actually hit 1 billion users. So, and like every 6 minutes, somebody's getting hired on LinkedIn. So, you want to make sure that like you really have that together and get to that all-star level, because people are really watching. Like, people are looking at your profile constantly, whether you're on there using the platform or not. So, do that. And then always have your resume brushed up and ready. Your LinkedIn should be like presentation. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because you never know, especially in this economy, what's going to happen with your organization, what's going to happen with like, your job. People are penny pinching too. They're not spending. Companies are not spending that much either. I just saw a survey that my company actually released, and are what, and I work with like enterprise and mid-market size organizations, and these are people that are generating billions of dollars worth of revenue, and they are asking these, larger enterprises, who's thinking of like having a hiring freeze. And I think it was somewhere around 33% are already implementing a hiring freeze, and about another 33% were thinking about having a hiring freeze in the future. So it's a lot of competition in the market right now. You are really doing yourself a disservice if you are not putting your best foot forward. So yeah, did that
So
answer
it
your
did, it did. And speaking of putting your best foot forward, What has really worked for you in job interviews? And yeah, what has worked for you in job interviews?
Yeah, so job interviews in my industry and customer success a lot of times are scenario based. So they really want to get to understand like how are you going to present yourself in positions where it might not be the most comfortable. They'll ask you questions, put you in like weird little scenarios. Like, what would you do if, you had a disgruntled customer who wanted to cancel their contract right now? Like, they'll ask you stuff like that because a lot of this role is very like on the spot. Like I said, it's very customer facing. So you kind of always have to be on go, asking yourself, what are some pain points and challenges that your customers might experience. You kind of have to think about those things in advance. What are some problems they might have either with the product or the service, or questions they might need to provide them additional support, like a demo, to refresh their memory. Do you need to have them going to like different trainings so they can learn more about the product? Do you need to go to trainings? Because like your goal at the end of the day in customer success is to make sure that you're maximizing the amount of value that your customer can receive from either your product or your service. So although you're not a subject matter expert, like you're not a product manager, you still have to have like a significant amount of knowledge about your product. You still need to know how it works. And that's why I always say like teachers, they make great customer success managers. Content creators make excellent customer success managers, because if you're someone that likes to communicate, that communicates effectively, that likes to talk, that likes to show people different things, how to do this, how to do that, if you get excited about like showing people something cool, that like you will make a great customer success manager, because like that's part of the job. Like, yes, part of it is like your product knowledge, like knowing how to use the tool, having some technical expertise, but you are talking to people all day. And if you don't like to talk to people, then you're going to hate this role.
I think teachers are just great in tech. End of story.
Yeah.
So I used to lead a training program where a lot of the people who were in the program were teachers, and it's just seamless. Like especially
Yeah.
working with people, they do typically have those skills. So how has your compensation grown over the course of your career in tech? Kind of like how much were you making before you got into tech, and how has that kind of like changed or transformed? Because I do typically see like an upward trajectory, but again, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say as far as like customer success, the average salary, I would say the minimum probably starts 90, 95. Average, you'll see people making around like 120. On the high end, you see like, managers, senior leaders making closer to like 250. And I was an educator, like I said, and I had a master's um, because you get based on your degree. And I had my program that I was in, Teach for America. They actually sponsored my master's degree for education. So I ended up doing that because I wanted to kind of go up like in the pay scale. But it's so hard to get to like a decent salary as a teacher, especially like when I was an educator. When I started teaching, I think my first salary was like $40,000 for my first job. When I was working at a school in East Point, Georgia. That was my first job in Fulton County Schools in Atlanta. And I was living good with my little 40,000. I'm not gonna lie. Atlanta at the time was very affordable. Okay. I bought a house like right out of college, like $120,000. It was massive. It was like turnkey ready. Atlanta was real nice back in the day, and I kept telling all my friends, like, y'all come move to Atlanta, like this is where it's at. But they were not trying to hear it. You know, I revisited this conversation with them actually, like, why didn't you guys move to Atlanta? Because now they're all moving to Atlanta. And it was like, girls, we didn't have jobs. We went to a messed up economy. But it was really bad. So yeah, I started off with my little and after that, I, went to school, continued in my career trajectory, changed roles and things like that. I think my last salary when I was in education was 65K. And that was when I was like a specialist, like an education specialist. Um, so that was that. But I will say I have at least doubled my salary. And I think that I always tell people your best to increase your pay or compensation is by getting a new job, because people at these organizations are always trying to steal from their competitors. That's definitely something that's not spoken about often. But yeah, I have at least doubled my pay from the time education. And as far as what's next for me, I do want to stay in this industry. I love customer success. I'm obsessed with it. And I think that next I really want to kind of take a step, not really a step back, but I really want to go back and like incorporate data into my practices a little more. And I want to kind of go transition into like customer data management. And long term, I could see myself being like a VP of customer data or something like that. So yeah.
So that's a that brings me to my next question. So, what specific skills, and they can be soft or technical skills, have you found that have been super useful for you in your career so far?
Yeah. So specific skills, definitely communication, because you're communicating with people all day, whether it's like your teammates, whether it's like your customers, meetings and conversations with your customers, whether it's via email, Teams, or whatever platform you guys use for video conferencing. My organization, we have conferences throughout the year as well, so you might be going to conference, speak to your clients, office visits, again, so those communications are going to be very valuable depending on your organization and what tools that they are offering. You're going to have need to have a deep product knowledge of their offerings. So like for me with my company, I had to go through a lot of product certifications internally before I can even get like in front of a customer. Like they're not going to put you in front of a client or a customer that's paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions, for a product or service if you don't know what you're talking about. So I had to do certifications with my organization for each product suite that I was going to be for. Additional technical skills, that is helpful as well. I would say the most important, well, not the most important, but like the ones that you'll see most often are if you know like Salesforce, if you know SQL as well, again, because like you're going to be manipulating and analyzing data. Low, you were recently acquired by Salesforce. If you're good with like dashboards and visualizations, that's going to be super helpful. If you're great at data analysis, it's going to be very, very valuable as well, because you're going to be responsible for some metrics that are going to ask you questions about like your customers, their data, how they're using your products and services, how happy are they with the experience that you're providing for them, how happy are they with the solution that your organization offers. So yeah, I would say those are highly important. And just being able to really like communicate internally as well with others. So cross-functional communication and collaboration is important because most likely you're going to be working with like an account team. You're also going to be working with like possibly like a solutions team, an analyst team, and the product team. So you really want to know what those people do, what those teams do, and how they're going to support you in your role, and relationship building, both internally, because those people are going to be working with on those other teams. They're going internally as well. If you're trying to like push forward a solution or a recommendation for your customer if they have a problem. And then of course, like with your clients as well. So yeah.
Great. So, what advice would you give someone who's trying to transition into customer success management, potentially from outside of the industry?
Yeah.
How would you advise they go about it?
I would say your outside industry experience is actually your hone into that because um, kind of like an umbrella. And I know one thing that is really growing right now in tech is like specialization. And you can specialize in customer success as well, because just about every single like company or organization you can think about right now is somewhere building a customer success team. It's still a fairly new role. Like there are no like there are few, I would say there are none, but there are a few, universities or programs that offer like customer success degrees. It's very new. Something in the last like 10 to 15 years with the growth of like SaaS. So you want to definitely, as far as like what you want to do next to build some competency, in there, build your skill set. There are technical tools and certificates that you can look at. You can look at getting like a Salesforce certificate, Gainsight. What else? You can leverage like Free Code Camp or W3 schools or something to learn SQL. Um, but yeah, like those help. But also, there are a ton of videos on YouTube that you can watch as well that'll kind of tell you, like, here are some things you can do to break into customer success. But the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is really kind of like specialize. Like I said, various industries. If you're like in the pharmaceutical space, if you're in the legal space, um, one of my friends actually had a success interview for like a law firm that was looking for a customer success manager to help them with some legal tech products that they're launching. There are like health tech companies that are going to be looking for customer success product, cloud storage companies, security, SaaSes. Used to work I was in sales for a security SaaS that also is now building a customer success team. So yeah, like having that industry knowledge from whatever you were doing before is actually a strength, because a lot of times like they're going to be looking for people with specific soft skills as well. Whatever product or the skill is or the tech stack that they're going to be asking you to leverage, a lot of times they are going to provide you with training and support on that tool or that product, especially if it's like the company's product. But those soft skills and those skills that you've acquired from like other industries definitely go a long way.
So, I know earlier in our conversation you had touched on taking some courses on LinkedIn, right? How important are courses and certifications in growing your career in tech?
In growing your career in tech, it really depends on the role. It really depends on the industry. If it is something that is like super, super technical, like you're building infrastructure, you are going to be doing like threat security. If you don't have any familiarity or background in that, you might want to look into doing like a certificate program or a degree program. There are a lot of like as well. As far as customer success specifically, Do you need a certificate or a degree to get started? You absolutely don't. You absolutely don't. But there are some great ones that are out there that will kind of build your knowledge base, and it can be helpful as far as like interviews, because I know my current role, when I was interviewing, they asked me, what are some things that you did to prepare for this interview for this role? And one thing I had done was get some certificates on LinkedIn Learning. So, I did the practical CSM certificate on LinkedIn. And then I did like another one. It was like Success Factors or something like that. So there are things that you can do, but they're not required for like customer success specifically. You are not required to have like a specific degree, although a lot of times they do like to look at people with technical experience or with like business backgrounds, technical backgrounds. Because one thing too about customer success is you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit, because you're kind of managing your book of business. You're responsible for your metrics. You're responsible for growing your specific client base. And you don't really need a specific degree or certificate for that. It does help, but it's not a requirement. If you did want to do a degree or a certificate program, I would great in your interviews. It's something that you can talk about. You can discuss like how you were able to hone your expertise in the field. So yeah, like I said, would recommend the Salesforce certificates. If you want to start building some things in Tableau Public, that's a good book as well, because you're going to be looking at customer data all day and being able to analyze that, make decisions from that. If you want to have a look at like some data analytics certificates, that might be helpful as well. Also, HubSpot is a good one as well.
Great. So, are there any like networking or community engagement activities that you found to be beneficial to growing your tech career?
Yeah, networking is super important, especially in this industry. And because the reason is, especially right now, this job market is so weird. I know they said that unemployment recently dropped this past jobs report. It went from 3.9 to 3.7%. And actually, the tech industry is doing far better. Like the tech unemployment rate right now is 1.9% allegedly. So there are a ton of roles being added, a ton of tech jobs that are like being, put on the forefront every day. But yeah, like as far as you can kind of stand out there applying, but that networking piece will get you very far. It will get you far. If you are on LinkedIn, I'm sure you probably get those messages like, so and so, who is your friend connection on LinkedIn's connection, is hiring for X, Y, and Z role at X, Y, and Z company. So leverage that. That is best friend, because right now it's not a what you know market, it's a who you know market. I would say it's really both. Like it is what you know and who you know right now. It's very competitive, and not only do you have like people that are from other countries that are on visa, you have experienced professionals that in that tech layoff monsoon that are looking for opportunities as well. You have, entry level people that are looking for opportunities. And it's almost like everyone's fighting for the same jobs, because why are entry level roles asking for 5 years of experience? Like, what is going on? What is happening? Okay. I am hopeful that things are going to get better, because, we're inflationary markets soon. So these companies are not going to be able to use inflation anymore as an excuse for why they don't have any job openings. So I do have faith that by like 2024, 2025, at least, the latest, things are going to get better. But yeah, as far as customer success specifically, there are some groups that you can join as well, where share opportunities. Time you can check out their community, Career Fireside. We post jobs there daily, so check me out. But then there's also the Forbes Black community. They have a Slack channel as well as a LinkedIn page as well. And I believe there's a customer success channel in there where you can connect with other CSMs, client success people that have are in the industry, can provide you feedback and guidance. If you are a woman that's interested in sales or customer success, there's organization called Sisters in Sales, and they have event time as well, post all the time. And lastly, well, no, not lastly, another one specifically, this one's for customer success. If you're a person of color, it's called Success in Black, and they're another great organization. They have a page on LinkedIn. They have a Slack channel. They post for different roles all the time. They have events. Very engaging community. So if you're interested in success, customer success, check out Success in Black, Sisters in Sales, and Forbes Black. They all have LinkedIn pages and they all have amazing Slack channels as great, because it's within the industry, so it's not like only entry level or only C-suite. It's like directors, it's senior managers, it's mid managers, it's entry level. So it's a great way to really talk to people, get like a mix of like who's in the industry, and everybody's like super nice as well.
That's dope. So, final question before we kind of like go into the Q&A, into the audience questions. But again, if you've not subscribe, hit the like button. It really helps out. Is if you are trying to do this from the ground up, and imagine you don't have your master's and your MBA, how would you navigate your transition into customer success?
Yeah, so great question. Like I said, you don't need a master's, you don't need an MBA. Like I know people that have been able to transition straight from their previous industry into customer success. Like I said, I dibbled and dabbled across a variety of different roles. I did sales, I did program management, I did recruitment, and this was just like what stuck to me. So if you're somebody that is very passionate about like talking to people, helping people, adding value, helping them to realize value, then, and a little bit of sales as well. You don't have to be passionate about sales, but you are going to work with sales a lot. So yeah, what I would do if I was just getting started from the ground up, I would watch some videos on YouTube. I would maybe take a cert or two on LinkedIn if you can. They have like some certificates on there. And then I would look at some of the different customer success organizations. So you have like Customer Success Collective. They have actually a conference coming up in Austin in 2020. Organization like sponsors conferences. I would see if you're interested in customer success if they could cover that, because it's a great way to just network with people in the industry and like see what people that are successful in this space are doing, how they're able to add value and be able to help meet their organizations as these business objectives. I would also start talking to people within the industry, leverage your LinkedIn, see who you know or who you know that they know that is in customer success. Start setting up some coffee chats so you can really see what is like a day-to-day look like for people that are in the role. I will also ask like a customer success manager to see what some of those roles look like. What are they listing as their duties and responsibilities, but most importantly, the impact that they're having on their roles. I would, focus on like, what are the metrics that they're listing on their resume? Are they talking about, their renewal rates? Are they talking about their net promoter scores? Are they talking about, reducing churn? Like what is important? What are the metrics that you're going to be held responsible for? Also, I would look at some job descriptions to see what do customer success manager roles, what are companies looking for? and seeing like comparing a few. Think about like some top companies that you're interested in working for and looking at like what are these organizations that I aspire to work for, looking for in this specific role, so you can start working backwards to build on those skills. And I would start applying. I would update my resume and my LinkedIn to reflect that role and start applying, start doing outreach, and you never know when an offer will land on the table for you.
That's really great. So we have our first audience question from Nini, and it's: are you on calls all day with clients, and what does your typical schedule look like?
Okay, good question. I am not on calls all day. I kind of have like the free range within my organization to build my own schedule. You know, when you are able to kind of get comfortable with your book of business with your clients, when you have, you know, been able to build rapport, have your introductory meetings, you can kind of build your own cadences, build your own day to day. Like, I don't start my meetings, I don't meet until at least 9, 10 o'clock with clients, because I use the first like couple hours of my day to just look and see like what do I have going on for the day, you know, who, looking at my dashboards to see who I haven't connected with yet, see if I have any requests that I need to troubleshoot, if I need to, you know, connect someone with like the product team, or like, you know, if there's like additional steps that I need to make. Because ultimately, not only are you responsible for ensuring that your customer and your client is finding value from the product or solution that you provide, but you're also responsible for like troubleshooting and keeping their engagement up so they continue to find that value as well. So I like to check my emails in the morning, and then like I'll spend from either from 9 to 12 or like 10 to 12 in meetings. Then I'll go to lunch at 12. During my lunch, I'll have a snack. And then I'll typically either like, you know, do stuff around the house, like clean, do laundry, or I'll go for a walk because there's like a lake by my, where I live. So I'll just like walk around the lake, clear my head and stuff. And then come back, and I then either have like a meeting with like my team or my manager, have a few more client meetings, and then the latter part of my day is spent doing paperwork. So like if I need to submit any requests, if I need to send any follow-up emails or communications, that's what I'm doing. So like, I don't know if it's like this at every company, but my company, you are responsible for your business. This is your book of business. You run it how you want to run it. And like, you make your own, I make my own schedule, as long as you are being accountable for your customers and for the experience that you're providing them. They kind of give you a little bit of free range. So that's another reason I love this role.
That's really interesting. Sounds like a audio day in the life. I like it.
Yeah, right. I was thinking about doing one day. Like maybe one day I'll do like a day in the life of a customer.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's interesting because that kind of like leads to Phil's question, which is like, do you find it difficult to have a work-life balance?
No. No. I love, well, first of all, I work from home. Not all of the roles are like work, success manager roles are work from home or hybrid. Um, the one I'm doing right now is remote, and like I said, I make my own schedule. Sometimes during my lunch break, like I'll take a nap. Like I will literally just like shut everything down, take a nap, and then I have also built into my schedule going to bring my son to school in the morning and picking up my son from the bus stop. And like, people respect your calendar. You know, if something is on your calendar, if you know something is going to be impacting your day, like add it to your calendar. If I have like a doctor's appointment, I need to take my son to, you know, pick him up from school early, that's on my calendar, and like no one is going to bother you. But also, as far as like really what has helped me significantly with work life balance, planning ahead. You know, I have all of my clients on a cadence. so I know that I'm going to meet with them every X number of weeks. I know that I'm going to meet with this person on this day. This is what we're going to talk about. And if you plan like ahead and you are strategic with your um, communications with them, because ultimately you are a strategic partner for them. And a lot of times they'll have questions for you like, I need this and I need that, by X, Y, and Z day. So it is in your best interest to kind of leverage your calendar, leverage your dashboards as much as you can, because that is really what's going to have the most impact on your work-life balance.
Okay. There was another question that I had, um, which is how does diversity look like in CSM? Is it a field or area where you see a lot of black and brown people thriving?
Yeah, I will say it is fairly diverse. Like my team is pretty diverse. I also always look to see like what does the face of the industry look like across the board as like at like different companies. What does leadership look like? And I, as a Black woman, is important to me as well. I've seen plenty of directors and VPs of customer success that are people of color, that are women, that are within the LGBT community. Like, I think it's one of those roles that if you're passionate about this, if you're great at communicating with people, like the world is yours. I haven't really seen like any diversity restrictions, because I know like there are certain industries that are highly saturated with like either men, or highly saturated with like specific demographics. Like I don't see that in this industry at all, in this role at all.
And that makes sense because I would imagine that an organization would benefit from their customer success team looking like the people to serve, essentially.
Right. Absolutely. Because you never know like who's going to be doing what. I work with C-suite leaders, like I work with CIOs, chief technology officers, I work with CISOs, and they look every kind of way. I have one of my favorite clients that I work with is a man from Haiti, and I'm from Haiti, and that is like something that we always talk about. Like every time he gets on a call with me, he be like, hey, my Haitian sister, you know what I'm saying? So it is actually beneficial for these organizations to have like a diverse CS team, because again, like a big part of this role is like relationship building. So you need to have like a personality. Like if you don't have a personality, baby, you need to go find something else to do.
So, how different is customer success management to tech support? That's Christian's question.
Yeah, great question. Customer success management is you are more on the experience side, on the service side, less on like the troubleshooting side. You can it's like the person is gonna pat you on the back and tell you, hey, I know we have a solution to your problem. Let me help you with figuring this out. And if it gets to a point where you have to go deeper, then you pass it along to the next person, but you're not like the subject matter expert on the specific product. You are someone that has product knowledge, going to be, you're not the person that's building the product, not the person that's going to be able to unpack everything for them. You're going to kind of help them find value from the product. So that's kind of like the key differentiators.
Hmm. So one is very tactical, you'd say, and one is a bit more strategic.
Exactly.
Nice. And I guess that's why there's a lot of, because one of the things that you alluded to a lot is like data. I didn't know customer success was that much data driven, but it makes sense as you explain
hmm
it more, because at that point, like you're spotting and identifying trends and kind of like
Yes.
the issues that customer are having and having a more strategic approach to dealing with it.
Exactly. So like it is highly, highly beneficial for you to really understand what are their challenges, what are their pain points, and what are their objectives? What are either for the year? What are they trying to accomplish? And how can your product or solution help them to accomplish that goal? And your purpose is to help them to continue to see the value each and every day or every time you communicate with them of that product and how it's getting them one step closer to whatever they're trying to accomplish with it.
Okay, sounds great. So, final question is from Kanan, and he asks, "How do you handle the high demands of your job, knowing that you're personally accountable for the things that you're responsible for?"
Whew, yeah, that's a good question. It can be very overwhelming, I will say, especially if you're like on the fast paced side, because there's different sides of customer success as well. Like I can go so deep into this, but I'm not gonna unpack all of it because I we will be here all day. But there's like, the onboarding and like demo side where you are, giving them a demo of the product or the tool, and you're showing the customer or the client like this is our solution. This is the value that you can get from it. Some demos you can even like do a mock-up of like what the solution would look like for your customer, putting in a little bit of sample data, like this is the potential impact you can get from our solution, this is how you use it, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's also like onboarding, where you are this is where you're interacting with like new clients, new customers, or customers and clients that need a refresher on your solution and your product, and you're telling them like, welcome to the team. Well, not the team, but welcome to our product solution. And let me walk you through it, and you show them like, this is what they can do with this is what they can do with that, and really get them set up so that they have like a successful experience from like the first day. And then there's like the long-term side of customer success, which is you are managing a book of business throughout the entirety of their contract. So their entire product or software lifecycle, you're going to be there with them, helping them, to navigate the tools, the products throughout their experience, answering any questions that they have. Um, and making sure that at the end of it that they're still very excited and want to renew, or maybe they'll even want to add additional licenses to your product and service, and or service. But I would say in the long run, that relationship building side is what's going to kind of matter the most, because they're not going to want to renew if they didn't have a good experience with you. They're not going to want to renew if you barely showed them how to use the product, how to use the service. So, as far as like the data side, I think a lot of that goes into your client's experience as well, because is your information that you're helping them to analyze, or the information that you're collecting for them, are you adding value to that? Are you helping them come to the decisions that they want to make? Again, it very much depends on like your company solution. But ultimately, you need to quantify the impact that you have had on your contract, because otherwise, you're going to lose a customer, and you're going to be responsible for a lot of people, a lot of organizations. Um, my organization, in my role, I'm responsible. I've done onboarding, I've done demos, and right now I'm more on the long-term customer maintenance side. And I have to really always be on top of it with my customers. Again, you don't want to lose them. But if you can quantify at the end of your contract, this is the impact I was able to generate for you, like whether it's like I was able to catch X number of threats for you using our product, code scanning tool, or I was able to help you, generate X increase in revenue at the end of your contract with our marketing SaaS tool. You know, you really need to continue to remind them and stay top of mind. Like, our product or our solution is so great, and here's a reminder of what we did for you, so that when it comes time for renewals, you know, they are so excited, like, oh my God, you helped me save so much money, or oh my goodness, like, you really helped me to protect my architectural infrastructure. Whatever it is your product is doing, make sure that they see the value in it.
So if I could summarize it, it will be help the customers unlock the value
Yeah.
and constantly remind them of that value.
Yes, yes, constantly. Okay, because they'll act like they forgot, like, especially when they are not having a good day. I'll have, you know, customers that'll come on and chat with me, and they're not having a good day, and they're like, "Oh, I need this, 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 and this," and you want to make sure that you start off on a positive note. Always, like, if there's like a pain point or issue they want to address, you want to address that first, you know. But on the back end of that, you remind them, now that we've solved your issue, we, you know, we're able to come to a solution. Let's talk about some other things. Like, I'm so to do this, and this for you. I'm going to remind you all the time, because when it comes time for that renewal, for you to sign that contract, maybe you're signing.
That's a really great note to end the chat. Show just some love. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Even I learned so much from it, and I'm sure a
Thank
lot of
you.
people watching did as well. Thanks so much for coming on. And I think this is another great episode of Working in Tech stream. Um, Definitely going to be here next week again with another amazing guest. But for now, thank you so much, Jess. This has been amazing.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.